Everyone, welcome to the studentloanjustice.org live stream. I don't know why my timer says we're already a minute in, but whatever. Welcome to studentloanjustice.org. We're the oldest, largest, first and only true grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. That means two things. It means, number one, returning bankruptcy to student loans. Number two, it means canceling all, not $10,000, all federally owned student loans by executive order. Truthfully, it really means ending the federal student loan program and replacing it with something that actually works. But that's kind of a bigger issue that I'll speak to another night. But those first two things I said, returning bankruptcy, cancellation by executive order, absolutely critical. The first thing is more critical than the second. If you're new to the group, welcome. Please tell everyone you know about this group. We're the only group actually fighting the student loan battle as it needs to be fought. And I'm just going to say the other groups out there claiming to be fighting for student loan borrowers, they're front groups, guys. They're AstroTurf. They're fake. None of them are fighting for the return of bankruptcy rights to student loans. And we've been doing this for 18 years, guys. We've broken news on 60 Minutes and in the Wall Street Journal. We've been on every news program you can possibly imagine. We've broken more news on this than anybody. We've written more articles, done way more research. We've lived and breathed this stuff for 18 years, guys. And I'm here to tell you, we are not going to see student loan cancellation to any significant effect. We're not going to see most people make it through the income-driven repayment plans. We're not going to see breaks on interest. We're not going to see anything meaningful with student loans unless and until we get the constitutionally enshrined right of bankruptcy back. As long as the constitutional right of bankruptcy remains gone from these loans, we're going to be begging Joe Biden or the next president forever to do nice things. And what we'll get is the nonsense that we've already seen. So you heard it here first. Shame on the other groups. Quite frankly, they're corrupted. The ones that I've seen are corrupted. They either make their living from the student loan industry, or they're literally doing huge business deals with the collection industry, the debt collection industry. So whatever, guys. I don't care about those groups. I only care about our group. And to that end, we've got 1.5 million members now, which is good. 1.2 million of them are on our petition, change.org/cancel student loans. We need to get that petition up to, quite frankly, 20 million signatures or more. We can do it, but everything depends on word of mouth, guys. We can't count on the media to fight this battle for us. You, me, normal people, word of mouth. That's the way this is going to work. So if you're new to the group, as I said, welcome. You're very welcome. To all the old timers out there, all the tried and true, fierce, fine and fit student loan justice warriors, I salute you. If you have any questions or comments, and if I can see them on Facebook and or Twitter, throw them out, and I'm very happy to respond to them in kind. Two quick announcements. We've got a ton of media requests going on right now. If you go to our Facebook group, right there, just Google student loan justice on Facebook, you can find it. You can see all of the media requests. This includes a casting call, by the way, for a documentary that's just getting underway. So I encourage you to check it out if you're willing to be interviewed about your own student loan situation, which is probably not good. Second announcement. Please donate, guys. I probably should have led with this. We survive and thrive on very nominal, modest donations from normal people. Like this week, for instance, we need around 33 people to donate $20 or more. So that's like $650, $700 that we need to raise this week. It's going to be pretty difficult for us. That's quite a bit of money to be raising in our little neck of the student loan universe. But truthfully, guys, this group is way more important than you may think. But for this group, we would not be talking about student loan cancellation by executive order. That whole thing started on this group months and months and months before Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer picked up the call on then President Trump to cancel student loans by executive order. It was our group that started the petition at change.org/cancel student loans, calling for exactly that, as well as the return of bankruptcy rights to student loans. But for this group, we would not have had any meaningful and will not have any meaningful bankruptcy legislation to fight for. Now, if you're new to the group, you're probably saying, why does this guy keep talking about bankruptcy? I don't want to file for bankruptcy. Nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. It's unpleasant. It's stigmatizing. It's a terrible thing to have to do. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, hear me now, believe me later maybe, but unless and until we get the leverage of bankruptcy returned, we are absolutely screwed. The federal student loan swamp monsters can do whatever they want with us, and they will do everything they can do to extract unearned wealth from us. So tonight, I'm going to try and keep the presentation portion of this evening's live stream rather short. Hopefully I can get through it in the next 10 minutes or so, but we get a lot of questions from the haters all the time. I spend hours every day on Twitter and on Facebook fighting with people, and they always say the same things. And so here tonight, I just want to take you through the stupidest questions, but the most frequently asked hater questions that we get from people. And I want to point you to a very easy place to point them to very quickly and efficiently shut them down without running yourself ragged and becoming a nervous wreck from people attacking you on Facebook or Twitter. I know it happens a lot. When I first started this group 18 years ago, I had a really hard time dealing with all the criticism. Now it's a very easy thing for me to do because I've just been doing it for so long. But I hope this will help you. And as I said, if you have any questions that I don't cover, throw them up, and I'm happy to bat them down. These are sort of the toughest questions and the most frequently asked questions that we get. So there may be others that you've heard, and I'm happy to field them if you want me to. So the first question we get, probably that's the most often and the most irritating, is why should my tax dollars pay for your college education? If you sign for a loan, you should pay that loan, right? We've all heard it probably. If you've been fighting this battle, you've definitely heard it. And the answer to that is just extraordinarily simple. The answer is the taxpayers have made a fortune on this loan scam, and it is a scam. The taxpayers have largely made every nickel that they've ever lent out back. In fact, the entire lending portfolio today, that $1.7 trillion, almost none of that, in fact, maybe even none of that is actual unpaid principal. I'm not saying that everybody has repaid the original amount that they borrowed, but many people have paid 5 times more than they originally borrowed, some even 10 times more. You know, I can point you towards people who, like Vanjie, who borrowed $26,000. She's repaid $100,000 over the years. She still owes $132,000. So on average, the taxpayers have made a king's ransom in profit on this loan scam, and every nickel can be canceled, not only without needing even a penny from the Treasury, but also without adding a dime to the national debt. You can't say that about any other loans. You certainly can't say that about PPP loans. PPP loans were extraordinarily expensive. Nobody repaid PPP loans. The people have repaid student loans. Have they paid the government its share? Have they paid the government the profit that the government is demanding? No, they haven't. But the government has made back every nickel, just about, or actually every nickel that it ever lent out on these loans. And remember, guys, this is for a lending system in 1965 was promised by the president back then, Lyndon Baines Johnson, to be free of interest. And I know what I said kind of rolls, it goes into one ear, maybe out the other. It's hard to remember all this stuff. But I have created a very handy dandy short list of links, easy to remember links that you can see for yourself. Here they are. I strongly recommend, as you argue with people, you maybe screenshot this and keep it somewhere, maybe print it out. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Keep it handy, because these answer all the tough questions. So yeah, here they are. And you know, I'm going to be honest, guys. I actually don't have a bit.ly link to answer that number one question. I don't have a bit.ly link. I do have for you a very awesome article that I will share right now. As I dial it in, bear with me. If you go to our Medium channel, studentloanjustice.medium.com, you will see an article near the top. And it's entitled, and let me just share my screen with you again. Oh, let me dial that in for you right now. There it is right there. Studentloanjustice.medium.com. Here's the article: Why Student Loan Cancellation Will Cost Taxpayers Nothing. The taxpayers have been repaid. Every nickel of federally owned loans can be canceled at little or no cost to the taxpayers. Like Joe Biden's $10,000 cancellation, absolutely that's no cost. That's pure cancellation of profit. And remember, guys, the government does not make a profit on anything. The Army doesn't make a profit. The Air Force doesn't make a profit. The Department of Health and Human Services does not make a profit. The Department of Education makes a massive profit on the federal student loan program. Remember, guys, $108 billion a year in interest, aka profit, accrues to the Department of Education. So the taxpayers are doing absolutely fine on this lending program, and the people claiming that their tax dollars are on the hook, they ought to be ashamed of themselves, because usually they are conservative. They consider themselves to be conservative. They just do. And by the way, we're a fiercely nonpartisan group. Whether you're conservative or liberal, we don't care. You're very welcome on this group. But conservatives claim to be fighting for smaller government and all these things. They're not, at least not on the student loan issue. When they go, why should my tax? Well, you should pay your loans. All they're doing is fighting for the colleges and for the Department of Education and for the worst big government monstrosity our nation has ever seen. So why should the taxpayers pay for my student loans? I say, don't worry your pretty little head. The taxpayer has done just fine. And you saw the article to bear that out. So I'm going to go back to our bit.ly links here, just to point you through it, take you through it, and hopefully you can see my mouse. So there's another question that we get often, and it's not a question as much as a comment, but people who say, oh, canceling student loans will largely benefit the wealthy. And again, that is complete, absolute, unfettered bullshit. Pardon my French. The fact of the and we wrote an article to that very question. And here we do have a good bit.ly link for you, and you can see it's the second one listed. It's just bit.ly/won't help rich. Won't help rich. And I leave it to you to dial in that link and read the article for yourself. But the gist of it is that 100% of all federal student loan borrowers were never going to be able to repay, 100% of all federal student loan borrowers had to prove that they were financially needy in order to even get the loans. Needy, i.e., not wealthy. So, and most importantly, perhaps, 85% of all borrowers, even before the pandemic, were never going to be able to repay their loans. They were getting behind and more behind and more behind. Wealthy people don't get behind on their student loans, guys. So anybody saying that student loan cancellation is regressive or it largely benefit the rich, they're completely full of shit. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. And you can throw that article in their face. And it goes right to the root of the problem. It attacks very successfully The one article that everybody in that band wagon making that argument, the one article that they all point to is a terrible piece of swamp trash from a guy who writes apparently at the Brookings Institution, Adam Looney. And anyways, I'll leave it and it's complete rubbish. It's just the worst kind of research. I wouldn't even call it research. I would just call it absolute spin, with no valid factual basis. He bases all his crap on very flimsy, the flimsiest of data. So another thing that people like to say, they're not saying it too much lately, but they do say it. They say canceling student loans will increase inflation. And again, it's complete nonsense, guys. And we do have indeed a bit.ly link for that very question. And the link, I'm just going to tell you, well, I guess I'll try and dial it in here. I don't know if you can see that or not. But the link for it is bit.ly/won't cause inflation. It's the third one down there. And just throw that in their face. You know, the inflation that we've seen in this country has sucked every nickel that people were saving because of the repayment pause out of our pockets. And so, yeah, canceling all these loans won't all of a sudden make $400 a month appear in the pockets of our members. It won't inject money into the economy. So the notion that this thing is going to spur inflation is just laughable. So another, oh shit, I just killed that page again, damn it. I'm just going to tell you what the bit.ly link is this time. Another very common misconception out there is everybody thinks this is a young person's problem. They're all, oh, these young kids these days, they're borrowing too much. They're getting gender study degrees. They're young. All these kids. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's complete bullshit. Older people now outnumber younger people with student loans. It's true. People over 35 outnumber people under 35 with student loans. This is more an older person's problem than a younger person's problem. And oh, by the way, the older group, the over 35 crowd, they owe on average 150% more than the under 35 crowd, despite having borrowed much less many decades ago, typically. The over 50 crowd outnumbers the under 25 crowd. And the over 50 crowd owes 300% more than the under 25 crowd. And I'm just going to tell you what the bit.ly link for that is. It's bit.ly/old more than young. Anybody talking about young people, young youngsters, young kids, this and that, throw that in their face. bit.ly/old more than young. Another thing that people say all the time is, oh, you liberals this, you Democrats that, you liberal Democrat. No. That's false. This is not a partisan issue. Although if you read the press, you would think that it is. And if you listen to members of Congress, you would certainly think that this is a partisan issue. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you that among all student loan borrowers, in fact, among everybody who's been to college, whether they graduated or not, according to the Gallup poll and Pew Research, this is kind of jaw-dropping, but most student loan borrowers are either Republican or independent. So in other words, Pew and Gallup found that among all people who had been to college, somewhere between 50 and 70% identified politically as being either Republican or independent. So there's a slight greater number of Democrats than Republicans. That's true, but it's pretty marginal. It's pretty small. And when you include the independents with the Republicans, we find that the majority of people who've been to college, people with student loans, are either Republican or independent. So this is not a blue-haired liberal elitist issue. That's just complete bullshit. And we need to crush that stereotype, guys. And the bit.ly link for that is very simple. It's just bit.ly/most GOP. most GOP. So when you're fighting with people on Twitter and they go, you can just go, go fuck yourself. bit.ly/most GOP. Similarly, a couple other bit.ly links. I'm not going to dial it in again. You're going to have to rewind and enlarge your screen to see them. But we have some gems in there. Nice zingers in there include bit.ly/hear it from Tucker. You know Tucker Carlson, right? He's actually on our side, certainly on the bankruptcy issue, if not the cancellation issue. And there's a great, very, very, very seminal interview that he did with a Republican under Trump who ran the federal student loan program. And he makes all of our points for us, believe it or not. I kid you not. And again, we're a fiercely nonpartisan group. We can't stand the Republicans. We don't like the Democrats. But this interview will shut the haters down. And that's bit.ly/hear it from Tucker, HEAR, hear it from Tucker. Another very good one. Oh no, I don't have a bit.ly link for that. There's a good article with Donald Trump saying, why is the federal government making a profit on student loans? I should make a bit.ly link for that, but my bit.ly subscription ran out. So I don't think I can make any more bit.ly links. Okay, so that's basically the short version. I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope I didn't go on too long here tonight. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get to your questions and comments. But I certainly will look for them after this live stream. And we're usually pretty good about answering all of your questions, giving air to all your comments, and so forth. So guys, the last thing I will say tonight is we absolutely need your help. We are normal people, and we will be buried. We will be baffled, bamboozled, and buried by the bullshit of our opposition. And we will spend the rest of our lives strangled under this unconstitutional, unconscionable, predatory student loan debt if we don't fight. Things are going to get very shitty for us, pardon my French. They've just turned the loans back on, and we still don't have the right, the leverage of bankruptcy back on our side. Don't believe anybody that says that we do. They're lying. It's completely false. You can say it's possible to discharge your loans in bankruptcy, but that's like saying it's possible to win the lottery. That's the sort of odds that we're looking at. So guys, if there was another group actually fighting this fight, I would join that group and I would not be doing this, but it's us. The other groups are fake, guys. They're fake. They're AstroTurf. They don't actually want to solve this problem because they'd be out of a job. I would love nothing more than to actually solve this problem. I'm a defaulted student loan borrower. I want to get on with my life. I'm ready to take this banner behind me and donate it to a museum or throw it in the fucking garbage. I'm ready to get on with my life, and I hope you are too. And that's why we need you. We need you sitting there, taking this problem seriously, owning this problem, because these are your loans and this is your problem. And if you sit there and wait and watch and worry and wonder what they are going to do, what they're going to do is perpetuate this loan scam for another decade, 2 decades, the rest of your natural life. That's what they are going to do, as long as you sit on your ass and you do nothing. So if you're ready and able and willing to fight with us, and everybody is, and you're not better than us, by the way, just want to point that out. We have Harvard lawyers in our group that are working very hard on our side. You're not better than them. Not that people from Harvard are better than anybody. Fuck Harvard. I can't stand Harvard. Harvard has produced some scumbags, but I'm just saying you are not better than us. And you can't prom queen your way to getting your student loan problem solved. You can't expect anyone else to do your work for you. That never happens. So if you want to help, the first thing you will do is go to our website, studentloanjustice.org, and do 2 weeks worth of our daily actions and get into the habit of doing our daily actions every single day. They're quick. They usually take no more than about a minute. You got to have a Twitter account. You got to have an X account. Sorry about that. I wish it wasn't so, but that's the easiest, most efficient way to do things. And if you have to get a Twitter account, if you have to get an X account specifically for the purpose of fighting for student loan justice, that's what you should do. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting very real. And we are in store for a very dismal, dark, and probably abusive period as the student loan collection industry sinks their fangs into your ass as we get served up like turkeys at the Thanksgiving dinner. You better get off your ass and you better help us fight if this problem is at all important to you. We're not going to kiss your ass on this group. We don't do that. We're not going to blow smoke up your ass. We're not going to tell you what you want to hear. What we have to do is, number one, get bankruptcy rights restored. And we were very close last session. We can get it done very easily this session if even 10% of the people in our group are actually fighting and not being fucking lazy. But that's what you will do. You will get into the habit of doing our daily actions at a minimum, and do more than that. We've got some very clever, very smart, very well-educated people on this group. There's no good reason we on this group alone can't solve this. This is between us and Congress and the president. And in my view, nothing else matters. Getting good media would be helpful, and we do get good media from time to time, but we cannot count on the media to fight this battle for us. We need you. You need you. And you need everyone on this group to be helping. So be the change that you want to see, as corny as that may sound. And also as corny as it may sound, you have no idea how important you could be. It only takes one person to make that perfect phone call, make that perfect email, that perfect tweet that goes viral or something to really move mountains for us. So we're it, guys. We're it, and you're it. And you have no idea how important you could be. And I hope something that I said has reached a few people out there. But this is it. We need you. The people, we're on this group. We're all we've got, guys. Really. We're all we've got. But at the same time, really, we're all that we need. So I'm optimistic despite the very uphill battle that we face. And I hope that you are too. And let's get this sucker done. I'll see you all tomorrow night. Good luck, Godspeed, and God bless.